Jocko Willink went from being a kid who wanted to become a commando to spending 20 years in the US Navy SEALs and receiving the Silver and Bronze Star medals for his service in the Iraq War. He's an avid Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, owns Victory MMA and Fitness in San Diego, and often trains and corners professional fighters. He's also a successful podcaster, author, and speaker. Need motivation?
Watch Top 10 with Believe Nation.
What's up, Believe Nation? It's Evan. I believe in you, and this channel is designed to be a part of your daily success routine. So let's get your motivation to a 10 and have you believing in you. Here's my take on Jocko Willink's Top 10 Rules to Success, Volume 5. Also, if you want to know what Jocko and other successful entrepreneurs have to say about building unstoppable confidence, check out my 254 Confidence series, where every day for the next 254 days, I will send you a morning video for free to help you build your confidence. The link to join is in the description below.
People want to know how to stop the laziness, and they want to know how to stop the procrastination.
Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Take ownership.
On social media, I see this a lot. Guys will hit me up. Girls will hit me up. Something went wrong with a client. I stepped in. I took ownership. They thanked me. Problem solved. Got it squared away. I can't. People are surprised. People are surprised that it works. People are surprised that it works. And again, just to make sure everybody knows, that alone doesn't work. You still have to solve the problem that you caused with the client, right? You gave them what they needed late, or it's going to be late, and now you say, hey, it's my fault. That doesn't mean that you don't need to get it to them ASAP and make up some corrective measures and lower the price or do something so that it makes up for the problem. But the worst thing you can say is, well, you didn't specify exactly what you wanted in the order, and therefore we couldn't get you what you wanted on time. Yeah. Okay, we're never coming back for business again, and we're angry this whole time, and I'm going to short you money when we pay you anyways, if I pay you at all. The next time you get into a situation and you write down, or you take the excuses and the reasons that you come up with, look at them, and then figure out how those things were actually your fault, and or how you could have prevented them. Because a lot of times it's like, here's one. Hey boss, we didn't get the mission accomplished because the weather rolled in and we couldn't launch on the mission. That's the problem. Now, we all know that we don't control the weather. So you write the problem down. We failed the mission because we didn't control the weather. We can't control the weather. That's why we failed the mission. That's my excuse. That's a logical reason. That's a legitimate excuse. But don't use it. What you do is you say, what could I have done to have controlled the weather? Okay, wait. I can't control the weather. What could I have done? I could have come up with a contingency plan. We could have staged in a better place. So then you go to the boss and you say, look, boss, here's what happened. The weather went south really bad. That was a problem, but it's a problem that I should have done a better job taking care of. What I should have done was I should have had a contingency plan. I should have staged closer to the target area, that I could have taken vehicles instead of helicopters. That's my fault. From now on, I will absolutely have a secondary plan. This won't happen again. We can't control the weather, but we can control how we plan and how we execute, and this won't happen again. There you go. So you take the most outrageous thing that you know you can't control, you figure out a way to control it, and you take ownership of that thing, and it's gonna make your life so much better. And by the way, the next time you have a mission and you plan that contingency and you actually execute and implement what you said you're going to do, guess what? You will accomplish the mission. Yeah. There's a whole part of ownership that preempts the problem. If you've got someone that knows, if I know that I can make an excuse, then guess what? I'm not going to set things up properly. Yeah. If I don't set things up properly, more often than the other way, I will fail to execute what I'm supposed to execute. If you have an excuse ready, same thing with you as an individual human being. If you got some excuses that you can throw out there, that you can say, I had no control over that, then you know what? You say, okay, what are my contingency plans? What could I have planned differently? Let's eliminate those excuses. Take ownership of your freaking life.
Rule number 2, get up early.
The reason I wake up at 4:30 in the morning is because no one else is awake yet. So that gives me the opportunity to do things that I need to get done kind of selfishly for myself. And the big one in that category is working out. And it doesn't feel good at 4:30 when you get up, but by the time 7 o'clock rolls around and you've already worked out and you've already gotten some work done and you've got some time to say goodbye to your kids before they go to school, it's infinitely better than sleeping in until 6:45 and you get out of bed and now you missed your kids going to school or whatever. You're not prepared for the day. It's awful.
Something I'm sure you hear a lot is 4:30, like this either just can't fit into my schedule, or if I'm going to be realistic, I'm probably not going to wake up at 4:30. What do you tell people who say that?
Yeah, and there's people that work night shifts, and there's people that it's unhealthy for them. They can't fall. It's like, no, be healthy, get enough sleep. But first of all, wake up at the same time every day. And if you pick that time and you start waking up at the same time every day, that's very good for you. It doesn't have to be 4:30. It could be 6:30. It could be 7. I don't know what your personal schedule is, but find out a time, pick it, set it, stick to it, and maintain that schedule, and that's going to end up better for you. I recommend it's earlier. I recommend that you go to bed earlier, because what are you doing at night most of the time? Most of the time at night, you're not working on anything super productive. You're just winding down and watching stupid YouTube videos or surfing the internet, reading clickbait stories, right? Don't do that. Instead, go to sleep and then wake up early.
Rule number 3, be yourself.
I was getting interviewed the other day, some interview, and the guy said something about like, it's impressive how quickly you've built your brand.
Right.
And I looked at him and I said, I'm not a brand. I'm a person. I'm a person. What I'm doing is not what I'm doing so that I can leverage people. What I do is just me, and I'm just a person. So if you asked me if I would wear a rainbow t-shirt, I wouldn't.
No, I've asked you to wear lots of stuff and you haven't.
and if you asked me, but that's not because of I'm trying to be something. It's because that's who I am.
Right.
And I had one of my bros who I hadn't seen in a while, and we met at a little place we go to in San Diego, and I hadn't seen him in a year and a half. And he comes walking in and he sees me and I'm wearing the same thing that I always wear, a pair of jeans, a Victory black t-shirt. And he walks in and he sees, and it was wintertime and I was wearing a flannel, like a
New England flannel.
Yeah, like a New England, but like cheap, whatever, flannel with the quilt inside of it.
Yeah.
And he sees me, and like when he sees me, and this is kind of, after the books and the podcast, and he's another SEAL, so he's suspect. And he sees me and I see his face, and his face like gets happy when he sees me. And he comes over and like does like a bro hug. And he says, "Bro, you're exactly the same." And I was like, "Yeah, man." And he goes, "I knew it." And like that to me was the best compliment I'll ever get, is like, okay, no matter what happens, I'm not a brand. I'm not doing anything for, any other reason other than it's just me. And that's just what I'm doing. And if people are cool with it, man, that's awesome. I'm stoked.
Rule number 4, put others above you.
If you're there and you're in a leadership position, or you're just in a position, you're in a relationship, whatever, and you're doing things for the team, you're trying to take care of the others, you're putting other people above you, in the end, you're going to win. And you're going to win way bigger than you could if you were clawing and scratching and ripping things and bringing them back to yourself. In the end, that person that thinks that they're doing the right thing, or thinks that they're doing something good for themselves, but what they're really doing is taking things from other people, that person, they might get a couple tactical victories along the way, but in the end, the person that puts everyone else first is going to win. They are going to win. So it's kind of hypocritical, because it's like, in the one hand, it's like, no, I don't care about myself. I'm not trying to improve. I'm not trying to improve my station in life. But by doing that, you will improve your station in life, and you will improve your station in life beyond anything that you could have done if your goal was to improve your station in life.
Rule number 5, be disciplined.
If you want more freedom in your life, you have to have more discipline. If you don't have any discipline, you'll end up with absolutely no freedom. You'll end up being a slave to other people that boss you around. There's all kinds of problems that can occur if you don't have discipline in your life. And the more discipline you have, the more freedom you're gonna have.
So just the discipline of the SEALs will never, it's impossible to leave?
No, it's possible to leave. There's retired SEALs all over the place that are undisciplined. They've moved on and they don't care about that anymore. It's fine. I don't judge other people on what they're doing. Like, they're probably stoked to sleep in and hang out with their kids and eat breakfast in bed. That's fine. I don't have anything against that. But for me, I want to get up and go.
Rule number 6, give trust.
How do I build trust with someone? The way I build trust with people is I give them trust. So if you're working for me, I say, hey, I want you to do this mission, Patrick. Come up with a plan. I'm showing you that I trust what your plan's gonna be. Now, I'm gonna make sure that your plan is good. I'm gonna review it, but I'm gonna give you a lot of autonomy. I'm gonna give you trust. And when I give you trust, well, what's your reaction? You think to yourself, this guy trusts me.
Yep.
And then the way I build trust in reverse is when you make a mistake, instead of me jumping down your throat and hanging you out to dry, instead I say, okay, you know what? My fault, I should have given you better direction. Here's what we're gonna do next time. So now you look at me and you go, hey, I screwed this thing up and Jocko still trusts me. I trust him. And that's how I build trust. I give it.
You give it.
I give trust to build trust.
If I'm really putting an effort, but my plan maybe not the best plan, you're still gonna give me second chances to work on it and get better at it?
I will micromanage you more. I can't trust you as much. We do a business deal or we're in business. I don't send you out with the biggest client I've got when I just met you and say, hey, I trust you. No, I give you a little client and I say, hey, go make this happen. And you come back and you say, hey, look, I did it. And I say, great. And you trust me a little bit more. Or maybe you screw that one up. And I say, okay, let me review. What'd you do? What mistakes got made? And you say, oh, well, I did this. And okay, we correct that. But I don't come down hard on you because I'm trying to build a relationship with you. Mm-hmm. If I come down hard on you, do you even want to work for me? Do you even want to be, if I come down, this is pathetic, you screwed this up, this is your fault, you're looking for another job. Come
That's
on.
right.
Whereas if I say, okay, let's look at what we can do better, then I'm building the trust. But you might be very trustworthy for many years, and then all of a sudden you go out and you do something underhanded with a client, you try and rip them off or rip me off. Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna have trust from me anymore.
Rule number 7, make today count.
So I want to tell you something else, and I want to make this clear. Don't just listen. Don't just listen. Do. I'm not just talking. So you know, I'm not just talking. I'm doing. And I don't want you to just listen. Put this information to work. Make today count. Every day. Go forward. Get aggressive and attack, whether it's on the battlefield or on the beat or in the factory or on the farm or on the construction site or on the website, in the garage or in the firehouse. Don't hesitate. Step forward and get after it.
Rule number 8, start walking.
No matter what you face, no matter how bad it is going to be, when there is a challenge, and by a challenge I mean anything in life, any challenge, anything that you're facing, the only way to overcome the challenges that you face is to start walking. Take that step every day, no matter what you are facing. Get up and start walking.
Rule number 9, follow your passion.
Jocko, when did you know you wanted to be a Navy SEAL?
Well, specifically, the SEAL team part of it wasn't until I figured that out. But when I was a little tiny kid, 5, 6, the only thing I could remember was wanting to be some kind of commando.
You knew that from that point?
From birth, basically.
Now, was it because pops or an uncle or grandpa was in the military?
No, my grandfather was in the Army, and he was retired from the Army, but that wasn't really it. I just instinctively was putting camouflage on my face and carrying around sticks and carving them to look like machine guns when I was a little kid.
For no reason. So that's just kind of, now, are you from a big family? Do you have siblings?
Two sisters.
Two sisters.
One older, one younger.
Did they also go in the military or not at all? So just you?
Just me.
So from 5 years old, you knew. So when you went in high school, everybody's asking you, what are you going to do after high school? You knew you're going in the military.
Yep.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is work out.
I've pretty much broken down my workouts into 4 broad spectrums of working out. I'm gonna pull on one day, I'm gonna push on another day, I'm gonna lift on the next day, and I'm going to squat on the final day, the 4th day. And I just rotate those things through. And they're all based fundamentally on some pretty basic exercises. For pull, it's based on pull-ups, doing pull-ups. And all you need to do pull-ups is a set of rings or a pull-up bar, and you can handle that workout. The push is based on push-ups and dips and all the exercises that are associated with those types of movements. The lifts, for me, are lifting things from the ground over my head. And then finally, squat is based on squatting. And there's all different kinds of varieties of squats you can do. And I also include in that sprinting and overhead squats, back squats, front squats. All those things get incorporated in when I'm working a leg day. On top of those 4, on a regular basis, I want to train my metabolic conditioning. So I want to do sprinting and running and get my heart rate up for very intense, short periods of time. And then on top of that, I do gut exercises, which is what we called in the SEAL teams when you're working your core is the trendy term to call it, or sometimes you hear it referred to as abs, but I don't like those terms. We call it gut. Get some.
Now I've got a really special bonus clip from Jocko on how to be a great leader that I think you're going to really enjoy. But before that, it's time for the 3-point landing questions. Time to move from just watching another video to actually taking action in your life or in your business. And if you're feeling bold, leave your replies in the comments below. Here we go. Question number 1. What can you do to make today count? Number 2, are you willing to wake up early as a test for the next week? And number 3, can you also commit to working out consistently?
The immediate impression that everyone would consider of me, and I hear this all the time, is that Jocko would allow no slack whatsoever, no mercy on anything, right? You're out of regulations, I'm gonna drop the hammer on you. Well, the fact of the matter is, that doesn't work as a leader. In the military, people wear patches on their uniforms. Well, the SEAL teams has a reputation for being very unprofessional, don't really know how to wear our uniforms well. We don't wear our uniforms a lot. We have mix and match gear. We buy civilian gear, we wear that. We just have a bad reputation. And one of the things that once the war started and we started getting these high-speed camouflage uniforms with Velcro everywhere, well, guys started making their own patches. And the patches were, some of them were just cool, whatever, some skull or a knife or
guys
whatever.
Guys making their own patches.
Guys make their own patches. Here's a typical one. There's one that guys would make that say fun meter, and it would be a meter that's pegged like, okay, we're maxed out on fun here. That's a typical kind of the type of thing that people would make. Well, I knew from working with the conventional forces that the way you appear in a uniform is very important. You were in the Army, especially at an airborne division. I mean, you wear the same PT uniform, you wear the same uniform, you have it squared away all the time. That's the way it is. And I knew that also soldiers and officers in the Army and Marines and Marine Corps, when they look at someone that's out of uniform, they look at that person and says, this guy can't even put on a uniform, right? How am I going to trust him out on the battlefield? That's just the mindset that they have. It's a good mindset, right? If you don't have attention to detail on that stuff, that's a problem. Well, in the SEAL teams, we're real slack about that. I said to my guys, look, we're not wearing patches, no patches. And my 2 platoon commanders, they said, okay, fine, no patches, we won't wear patches. But they really wanted to wear patches. So behind my back, they went and they got patches made. Task Unit Bruiser patches. What they would do is, if they were going on an operation that I wasn't going on, when they'd roll out the wire, they'd make a call on the radio and say, patches on, and they'd pull out their patches and put their patches on. They basically disobeyed a direct order from me. Would have been fine, except for there was a certain operation that they went on, there was an embedded photographer on, and the pictures came back, and I had all the pictures. And I see all my guys with patches that I told them not to wear. You know what I did? I didn't do anything.
You didn't bring it up.
I didn't bring it up. I realized, number one, we were fighting in a very hard environment where troops were getting wounded and killed every single day.
Where were you at this time?
We were at Ramadi.
Okay.
For me to focus my leadership capital on something that small was a complete waste of my leadership capital. Number 2, I realized that these guys that was a boost in their morale. That made them feel like a tighter unit. They gave these patches out to Army guys. That was a big deal for them. And it meant a lot to them. And so for me to go in and rip that morale away from them would have been a down step in their vision of me and their respect for me, and it would have antagonized our relationship. I didn't come out and say, hey guys, I saw the patches, you're fine to wear them. And Leif was talking about this, he thought I was just gonna drop the hammer on him. And I didn't say anything. And the guys continued to do it, and it was not a big deal. Now, they didn't wear any inappropriate patches. The patches that they wore were all the same, so it was uniform. But the answer to your question, which is probably the opposite of what a lot of people think I'm gonna say, is like, what are you gonna waste your leadership capital on? Now, the other side of the spectrum, if you get someone that's doing something that's illegal, that's immoral, that's strategic, that's gonna impact you strategically, yeah, I will not budge on something that is that important to me.
Raise your standard.
Apple, at the core, its core value is that we believe that people with passion can change the world for the better.
Not one drop of my self-worth depends on your acceptance of me.
If you like this video, check out the Jocko Willink motivation video that I made. I think you're going to enjoy it. The link is right there next to me. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
Discipline comes from within. It's an internal force.